Well, hello world. It's your favorite real estate advisor here, Matt McCrory, with the Tim Stout Group. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about time management. The title of this class was Have a Master's Schedule or Be Mastered by Your Schedule. So, kind of why I chose that title is I actually wrote it down as a note one time. And I like it because it's provocative, it's thought-provoking, makes you want to come and be like, hey, what are they talking about? And it also puts you in the mindset that your schedule is like a little creature. And a lot of people, when they first get into real estate and they get it, it's like when you find like a little, like a bear cub, you're like, look how cute it is. This is easy
So you know
to
I've
manage.
never found a bear cub.
You know? You've never found a bear cub? You haven't heard of one. I'm pretty sure if anyone was bringing a bear cub though, here it would be Dustin. Like have it inside and be like, nah, he's gonna love me. I don't know what you're talking about. But you get the bear cub and you're like, it's cute, it's little, I can keep up with it. And if it does stuff, I can pick it up, running around. That's usually like somebody just coming into the business or something. They're like, hey, I do 12 a year, that's great. And you can kind of keep on that. You can kind of pull them back a little bit. It's fine. But then you hit it big, right? You start getting a lot more. Now you have like 12 in 1 month or something like that. And your schedule's a lot bigger. And all of a sudden, just like the bear cub, you have a full-size bear. And even though you got your cool little chain, you're like, oh, I'm in control, until the bear turns on you and eats you. And you die. So what do I mean by you die? It means it's going to stress you out. It's going to make you quit. That's why in real estate, it's what is it, 85% fail rate in the first year or two? Because when you come in, I don't think a lot of people have a structure to make it something happen. So even if they do get a lot of business, you get run around by that bear. You get run around, your time gets spread thin, your relationships with family get worn out, with your spouse or significant other. You as a person, you're like, I'm about to lose my mind, I'm getting pulled by so many people. And it's because we didn't have that master schedule. So when I actually took this note down that made me come up with this name, I was actually in a pastoral class. I have my master's in pastoral studies, weirdly enough, right, in real estate. But when I was in it, pastors have a high fail rate just as realtors do and other people. And a job where people coming to you all the time and pulling you in different directions can just drain the life out of you. So very quickly, in the ministry world, they were saying, hey, you have to get a hold of your schedule or else you're going to fail. And it's the same thing in real estate. You got to get a hold of your schedule or else you're going to fail. So when I wrote this down, I was like, okay, I'm going to use this again. Schedule, because it just fits so well. And I'm also preaching and teaching to myself here because when I get busy, my schedule starts to just kind of blend, and I want to be the Johnny on the spot guy, and the next thing I know, I'm leaving before the sun's up and I'm coming home when the sun's down, and I'm not spending enough time with family, and I'm not, I'm spreading myself too thin. So how do we combat that? Time blocking. You've heard it 1,000 times if you've been around Tim Stout ever, or if you ever talked to David Kesey. That's one of the biggest things is time blocking. And what I've seen with, well, let me explain what time blocking is. So that means you're like, all right, I just woke up, I got to work, I did my workout right from this time to this time. I start work at 9 until 11. I'm prospecting. From 11 to here, I'm making my appointments for the day. From this time to this time, I eat lunch. From this time to this time, I'm going out and I'm doing my showings. This time, family time. Now, that's all good and dandy, but you have to follow that because so many people just bleed that all together. They're like, work out, run and scream to next appointment, run and scream, don't prospect at all. Eat lunch in the car, and then you're there at 10 o'clock and you're typing up emails and you're like, and then it's 12 and you do it all over again. That's not sustainable, right? So we want to make sure that we're doing things in those brackets. So that's going to require discipline. It's going to require when you get a crazy phone call that you're able to go, that's not prospecting time, current client I have. I'll call you at 11. And so many people are like, but what if it's really nothing that happens at 9 cannot be solved at 11, right? Because so many times we're going to be right up. So stick to your schedule that you're making and make sure that you're actually sticking to it. And one of the things that I struggled with this, I told Tim, I was like, man, somebody calls me, I'm going to pick up, like, yeah, how can I help? Immediately, if it's a client I'm working with. And he goes, how many times have you heard somebody who's a lot more successful than you, way further along the business than you that talks like this? And I'm like, well, like everyone. Yeah, this person. every time you go against this, you're telling that person, you're stupid and I'm smarter than you. I was like, oh, that hurts. Because I respect these people, and I'm learning from them, and that's basically what you're doing if you get outside of that and you're like, no, I gotta pick this up, I gotta take this right now. You're telling those people that have taught you this, that are a lot more successful than you, nah, you don't get it, I know more than you. But you don't, right? So stick to that schedule, and I think where a lot of people can kind of fall out of it is they're like, all right, I'm gonna prospect, I'm gonna call 100 people, then I'm gonna show this many, I'm gonna have this many appointments set, then I'm gonna do all this. I like to have it, let's set the bar at an attainable state, right? Because I would much rather everyone here have consistency in their daily schedule than like, great, Dustin called 5,000 people this week, and then nothing for the rest of the year because he almost died in that first week. You know, that's crazy. He was on a diet for like 24 hours for 7 days a week, right? So you got to make sure that it's attainable. I had 3 conversations today. Cool. I got a showing today. Awesome. All right. Finish this, family time, phone's off after whatever you want to make it. After like 7 for me, I just stop picking up. Like, all right, handle tomorrow. It's really freeing to like watch it ring and be like, all right, tomorrow then, I'm going to call you in the morning. I'm not coming in here, right? That's what we're going to do. I'm going to just at 9 o'clock or 8:30 when I start up, I'll give them a call back, but hey, what's going on? Got your this call. Oh, it's usually this. Oh yeah, I just had a quick question. So what's a title company? And you're like, you're going to call me at 7:30 for that, right? So make sure that you have these attainable goals to follow. Now, if you're like, Matt, that's not me. I like to have a day for something. That's something just called block. Like you just block out the day scheduling. Where it's like Monday, I'm focusing on listings. Tuesday, I'm working with buyers. Wednesday, all I do is showings, right? To me, with our schedule and stuff going on, I like the first model better, but there are people that do the second one really well. They just have days that are designated to something like that. So, you've heard this before everywhere, but if it's not on your schedule, it's not happening. Now, what does that schedule look like? Depends upon you and your personality. So, my wife has to have a planner that she writes in. If it is not in that planner that she writes in, it does not exist. Like, it does not exist. Like, if I get off early or something like that, I'm like, I don't have anything for the rest of the evening. Let's go to the park. She's like, the park? There's no room for the park here. I have email follow-up, and I have baby feeding here, and I put baby down, and then it's dinner with you. Like, where are we? How do we go to the park here? There's no room. So if it's not on that calendar, it's very hard for her to be like, I don't understand how we're going to do that, right? Because this isn't like, I don't understand. This isn't reality. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, this isn't written down.
So yeah, it's not written down. I don't know what's going on. So with me, I have to have it in the phone. So if it's in the phone on my phone calendar, I put it in there and I see it. When I put showings, I just save it from showing time. I save it right into my calendar. And when I look at the day, I go, oh, okay, great. Here, look, there's this weirdo guy who always calls me from California, that Indian guy. He's calling me again. So be prepared.
I hope he's watching this video.
He probably is like, Michael, what in the heck? You're going to be buying me a house. Is it cute? Anyway, so you got to make sure that you have it, whatever works for you. Like, he likes to write down stuff. If I write it down, I'll forget about it. I do a little bit of both. I have like my little day schedule that I'll write out to get my head clear, and then I have my like running schedule on my phone. So I know when I have coaching calls in the morning, I know when I have to be at the gym, and I follow that. All right? So the very first step in having a master schedule is actually writing it out on the platform that you're going to use. Is that going to be a daily planner? Is that going to be on your phone, on your iPad, or whatever? Whatever you know you will follow, put it there. That's your master schedule. Right? And you continually, you have to have the discipline to put it in. Because I'm like, Lincoln, you want to grab lunch at 12? And you're like, yeah. He's not going to do that if he just walks out the door. He has to stop and go, okay, lunch, Matt, 12, where are we going? Food grounds? All right, my favorite place, right? Bam. It says it there, it's in the schedule, it's right there. It's not just like, oh yeah, because that becomes very expensive really quickly. So it's either going to burn you out if you don't have that schedule, or be very expensive. I have a personal testimony of this. This was at the very end of me being as busy as I've been ever. Like the busiest I've ever been. I was at the very end of that this year. And I had a listing appointment that came up. They called me and said, hey, I want to sell my house. Got your number from so-and-so. And I was like, cool, let me meet you. And I want to meet Johnny Spot. I was like, I'll meet you tomorrow. Is that fine? He's like, yeah. So I meet him the next day. everything's great, building rapport, it's a great time, everything's awesome. And earlier that week, pause, Ariel says, hey, we need to go to this graduation. Our friend is graduating PT school. Really want you to be there. And I was like, yeah, we'll make it happen. I did not put it in my calendar. So I was like, I'm free on Saturday. Because he goes, hey, can we follow up, get paper signed and all that? I was like, yeah. So Saturday, I tell him, hey, we'll just meet tomorrow. What does this time work? So then I get in the car, start answering phone calls, whatever. It's not until later that night where I look, and I think, man, I can't meet him. So that morning I said, hey, can we push it back? And he's like, okay, you did tell me that. I was like, I know, I just don't book myself up. I'm like, okay. And then as I'm headed over there, he goes, you know what, you can't even keep your first appointment. I'm going to use somebody else. And I was like, but I double booked myself. I did not have it in the calendar, and therefore it did not exist, and so I set myself for it. And I was like, absolutely, see you then. And he's like, well, you can't follow that up? See ya. I was like, that's like $5,000. That was $5,000 commission, at least, out the door. Just because I did not stop when Ariel said, hey, we're going to this thing. And I went, break in graduation from 1 to 5, right? It wasn't in there, so it did not exist. So it becomes very expensive not to do this. It becomes bad for business, because now that guy's probably like, ugh, guy can't even keep an appointment, right? And we don't want that compounded. We want people to go, hey, if I'm going to call you back, I'm calling you back. The biggest complaint realtors have is they don't pick up phones, they don't call people back, they don't have good communication. Why is that? Is it because they're bad people? Is it because they're bad workers? No, they're overwhelmed, and they do not have a system to follow back up. So, I mean, you've got the phone call. Yeah, I'm in the car. Yeah, I'll call you back. And you're like, dang it, who is that guy? He called me. What was his name? Stephen? Samuel. Stephen? Samuel. Right? And you're in the car. You didn't write the notes down. You didn't have the way to follow up to put them back into your calendar. And then follow up so that you just don't do it. And now they think, well, that guy's not doing that. You just said goodbye to business. So, you have to make sure that you're putting it into a way that you will actually use it. On the phone, on your planner. I think I saw 2 people nod. Who's a hard copy planner?
Me.
Girl, you?
Oh, 100%.
You? A little bit of both? Yeah, hard copy?
Yeah, I need both, actually.
Yeah. I like to have both too. If my mind gets super like the beehive, you know what I'm saying? Like, zzz, I have to stop and write it out. Call this person, do this, send this email, follow up on this, and then I go, okay, it's right here. It's right here. So that way it's less overwhelming. So it clears my mind, gets me ready to go. I have it set up, so that way I'm not going to be that agent that doesn't follow up, that's not going to do that, that's going to just be absent-minded, right, and continue to do that. It's a simple concept, but there's a certain pain threshold that you have to push forward into, and it's just that discipline, right, of that stopping, like, let me put you in my calendar right now, and it's to have that phone conversation when you're on the phone with somebody, like, oh, cool, can you call me back? Let me put you in my calendar right now, I'm going to make a note of it. And they're like, oh, okay. It just takes a minute to interrupt them and say, let me do this, so you can actually do it. It's on paper, it's electronic, and you're actually going to follow up with them. Right? It's just a matter of having that discipline and doing that. And having that master schedule to actually go, all right, it's prospecting time, I can't go do this. I've been doing that with working out because I did not want to get up early because I was like, baby, but I never had time to work out after. So that's my other little add-on here too, is if you're not getting up early, that doesn't mean like crazy Tim Stout early, like he wakes up at like midnight, I don't know, like does a lap around the world, and comes back and prospects more, right? I get up at 5, I go work out, and I'm done to be home with baby at 7, and then the day starts to get ready with baby, and it's 8, and then I start planning for the day. And it starts going like that. Whenever I do that, it sets me up for success for the rest of the day. If I wake up, and I barely wake up at 7 to feed the baby, I feel like I'm behind the rest of the day. And my schedule bleeds later and later and later. So you have to make sure you're getting up on the right foot. And sometimes that means just actually getting up. Because often than not, you're not going to want to feel like you want to do that. There's a great book called The 5-Second Rule. And it's just the whole book is based on that premise of you have 5 seconds to do the thing you don't want to do before your body starts telling you it's okay not to do it.
Yeah.
Right? Everybody's felt it. Like, I should go to the gym. And then you're like, 1, and then you just sit there, yeah. You're like, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then like, lazy Mackenzie comes up, like, we should sleep longer. Like, lazy Matt comes up and like, dude, just like snooze. You never snooze, just snooze. And then you're like lulled back into your complacency of like, yeah, that's fine, I'll do it next week. Okay, I won't do it today. 5 seconds to get up. Alarm goes off, just get up. And I just started like walking around now. I'm like, it's fine, what is an hour anyway? Like, if I snooze for an hour, what does that mean? And then my day feels better. I'm like, yay. I don't know if you're like, you watched it?
No, sorry.
Preach.
Oh yeah, no.
Say goodbye to snooze. So that's the fundamental of it. So this is a short one. It's stuff that you've heard, but it's just a good reminder of this is key for success. Now, when I say success, don't just think cool money, cool business. That's success in your relationships. That's success with your business. And that is success with your happiness and overall contentment. Right? Because if you are a slave to your schedule and being yanked around by that, everything else will suffer. Your time with loved ones, your time with clients, your time with income-producing activities, because a lot of the things that we busy ourselves with, honestly, are dumb stuff. We've all seen the latest dumb video on Facebook or Instagram, right? Because a lot of times what I'll do as a coping mechanism with being busy or stressed, I will start scrolling.
Yep.
And I'll be like, oh yeah, I'm so busy, let me just get my mind off of it for a minute. And I'm like, and it bleeds 30 minutes to an hour, and I'm like, oh, well crap. Now I have even less time, right? So a lot of having that master schedule is to understand what are income-producing activities and what is the coping mechanism that's actually depleting me. Because everybody has the same 24 hours in the day, but how you use it is what can determine relationships, business, your overall success in life there. My last little point in that too is intentionality in those moments, because everyone here producing at a high level, you're going to be pressed for time always, right? More than the average bear of a 9-to-5 person, right? But when you have your time blocked out to create more, you're intentional in each category. When you're prospecting, you're actually prospecting. You're not making that one phone call you got yelled at, like, ooh, scroll. Call someone else, have a super long conversation about their grandma. Okay, cool. Scroll. Right? You're actually dialing, making conversations, and you're not leaving voicemails. It's a waste of time. Nobody calls you back anyway. Right? You go through it, you make those calls, great, done, bam, go on to the next one. So you're intentional in each moment. So that also means when it's time to not work, it's time to just be there with family. You're there with family. And not pick up the phone and dial back real quick, and not to just bleed into that, because I'm the worst about that. To where now Sophia will jack my phone constantly because she knows it's Dad's favorite toy, right? He's like, give me that toy, she'll jack it from me. So being intentional in each category that you have in your schedule, having that schedule in general, and understanding, and well, not even understanding, just stopping and being aware of the time vacuums, right? Now you can, I'm not saying like we give up any type of leisure, but put it in the right category. You can even have like in your time blocking, like, all right, it's time to fool around and like mess around on the phone. All right, cool. Now I have this. You can go back into this. Now I like answering emails. So that's really it in a nutshell. Have a schedule. Don't get yanked. If you act like I'm going to go through life and not have one, you have one. It's just in control of you. So that's really it. See you guys.